What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak, and we have a special guest on the show, former longtime college and NFL defensive coordinator and defensive coach, Larry Coyer, on the show. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Larry.
Well, I appreciate that. I enjoy the opportunity to talk to you, Alex.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on. For those of you that don't know, Larry played college football at Marshall University and was a defensive coach since the 1960s until as recent as 2014.
Well, I was blessed to coach at two high schools. Martins Ferry High School, that's where Luke Rhodes is from. And it's legendary down in the steel mill country, and I was blessed to coach there where the mills were still running. And that was a blessing because it was very competitive down there too.
Nice.
And then I moved up to Massillon, which is probably the king of high schools. If you check history, it's one of the great places in the world to coach. And Coach Brown coached there and set the standard for Massillon High School. And they've had some great coaches and great teams, and I was a part of teams that lost one game in 3 years, and we beat Kent McKinley 3 straight times, which is a huge game. And in those 3 games, we gave up 9 points. So,
What was it like coaching a young Jim Caldwell at Iowa?
well, Jimmy was as quiet. He wouldn't say 2 words, but he was really fast. And he was really tough, and we played a tough schedule at Iowa. So he played corner and safety, and he was a one ball of fire. He would play with the best of them.
That's awesome.
And, he was a part of us beating UCLA and beating Penn State, some of those things, and he was a great player for us. And he was equally a great coach. I mean, he's as calm and cool as they come, and but he's competitive as you can believe. I can't explain how competitive he is.
Yeah.
I can tell you a brief story about us playing Penn State. They're number 2 ranked in the country, and we're going over there to play them. And in the locker room, prior to going on the field, Jimmy doesn't say anything. And he stood up and made a speech about no man can make you feel inferior.
Wow.
And he went through that deal, and it was like a pin drop, And we ended up beating those guys 7-6. And he was instrumental in playing great defense to set that thing up. And
Yeah.
as a head coach, he was very much the same, very quiet. And when he spoke, you needed to listen. He was one of those kind of guys. And,
Yeah.
he's a great man, and I was blessed to work with him at the Colts. And he's a tremendous guy.
Then you would go to UCLA, and coach there with Troy Aikman on those UCLA Bruins, and Carnell Lake, Ken Norton Jr. What was your time like at UCLA as the linebacker coach?
I enjoyed my time. I love Coach Donahue. He just passed away.
Wow.
He's one of my favorite guys in the world. He's a great coach and a great man. They have high standards at UCLA, and recruiting is difficult because of those standards. But boy, we had some players in spite of it, and I was just thinking when I was talking to you about Carnell and Kenny Norton, Jim Waller, Mike Lodich, and all those, Roman Piper, James Washington, and all those guys that played for us on defense. And then, Lord gracious, we had Troy, and we had 2 running backs. I'm old, I forget. But they were great players.
Yeah.
We had 2 great receivers, and we were loaded for bear.
Yeah.
And our nemesis was we played SC the last game every year. it was always a nut cutter. It was down to the wire,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something to behold. That game, and it was a pure joy to coach there. Washington was tough too. The Pac-10 was tough back then. It was a tough league. Arizona was tough because they were recruiting. They would bring in transfers from all over the country, and the team you saw the year before was not the team you saw when you went down to play them that year. They were totally different.
Yeah.
It was a tough league to play in. And, we did very well. We won a lot of games. And Coach Donahue won 7 straight bowl games, which is probably unheard of.
Yeah.
And we played Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl for a 7th straight win, and we gave them 49 total yards.
Wow.
And, that's when Troy was drafted. It was first draft pick for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Coach Landry made that decision down there at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
So it was quite a stint. We had great teams, and it was pretty easy to recruit to UCLA. Once you get them on that campus, it's tough for a kid to say no.
Yeah, I believe it. And then you were at Ohio State for a couple of years as a defensive backs coach. What was that like at Ohio State? I know that, I've got a chance to talk to their running back, Raymond Harris, and they had Eddie George around that same time, too.
That's a great place. I coached at 2 Ohio high schools, and I was considered an Ohio guy, because that experience. And so I recruited in the area where I had coached,
Yeah.
and Besson and Martinsbury and that area, Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. And there's quite a few football players there. And we were able to recruit just about anybody we wanted at that time,
Mm-hmm.
And I also was able to recruit Eddie George because his mama put him in a private school to keep him away from trouble. He's from Philadelphia.
Okay.
And we had some successful recruiting, and we had great teams, and we played in great ball games against great teams. Ohio State is a unique place in all the world. They believe in winning, and they're going to win, and they won't accept anything else. And there's some people criticize that, but that's the way it is, and I'm in favor of that attitude.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And then you spent a year in the NFL with the New York Jets in '94 under head coach Pete Carroll. What early on, I don't think anyone anticipated Pete Carroll to be the pro coach that he is now, the success that he's had with the Seahawks. Are you surprised, and what do you think of what Pete Carroll has developed into as a coach compared to what he was back then with New York?
Well, I thought he was a hell of a coach of the Jets. New York media is tough,
Yeah.
And I think what got us is we were playing pretty good. We were going to be a 500 team, and we went down on Christmas Eve and played Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And they were already fired, and we played like crap.
Yeah.
Crap, and they beat us. And it was embarrassing, the game. And when we came back, when it was time for us to come back in the office, we got the word to come in and collect our stuff.
Wow.
And hit the road. Between that game and New Year's, it made the decision to let he go. And
yeah,
I don't think it was all Pete Carroll. I think it was just a matter of heavy media pressure, and
yep.
I don't know that we had control of the locker room. I think the locker room got away.
Yeah,
so,
it's easy to do.
He was a great coach, and he is a great person. He had a great demeanor,
mm-hmm.
and it doesn't surprise me that he said that run with Seattle. He is a perfect pro coach. He has a perfect demeanor.
Absolutely. Then go to Pittsburgh. How was your time at Pittsburgh? I'm always a fan. I worked in Pittsburgh for like 4 or 5 years, and I loved the area. What was it like coaching with the Panthers?
Since I coached down at Martin's Ferry and those places, I was very familiar with Pittsburgh. And I was very familiar with Walt Harris because I coached with him at the Jets, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I truly enjoyed my time there. I knew all the coaches because they were almost all of them were Pittsburgh area guys, you know.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed being there. The first year we had to clamp down. You know, we had to get some of the trash removed, and but we ended up going to a bowl game. You know, we ended up winning up games, go down playing Liberty Bowl. We got beat, but we ended up doing good enough to go there. You know, and we played roughly 500 football. We were in the top 25 in the country in defense.
Nice.
We played hard, and we had good kids, and they would play their butts off for you. And what was unique was where the stadium was and where the dorms were. The kids would just walk out of the dorm down into the stadium, and it was just perfect, you know, for them. And it was a loud place, and we renewed that Penn State rivalry, and we played him in Pittsburgh. I never heard anything like it. I mean, the roar and the noise in the crowd, and it was a tight ball game, and it was really a unique place to play. Of course, we played Notre Dame every year too, and that was a unique experience. We beat them over there the last year they played in that stadium. We beat Notre Dame, so it's a great place. It really is. They love football, and they support football, and they appreciate winning.
Yeah, and something you mentioned there, I think it's something we took for granted for so long was the fans and the environment at these football games. And going through 2020 without fans, it just felt so different. And this week 1 of college football, we got to see it so much, like the atmospheres. I think of the atmosphere at Virginia Tech, the atmosphere at Florida State on Sunday night. We took it for granted, and to see the fans back in full attendance and being so loud, there's nothing like it in the world.
Yeah, that's what makes the game. The fans make the game, and in my opinion, in college football, the bands are a strong part of the game. College football is unique. The bands and the fans, the kids are enthusiastic, and it's noisy. I mean, they make noise just to make noise. You know? It's great. It's great. College football is great with the fans there. They support their teams, and they don't give up on their teams very often. You know, if the team's just rotten, they'll give up. But there's not very many that are just rotten. You know, they fight, they compete, and the fans get behind them. So
absolutely,
that is what makes college football. Now there are some pro teams that have that same deal too. You know, Kansas City being one, Denver being one. You know, that it's very much a college-like atmosphere. You know, it's really loud at Kansas City, and it's really loud in Denver. It's very much a college atmosphere.
Yeah, and then you would go to the Denver Broncos. You would know well. They're at Mile High from 2000 to 2006. Can you tell me a little bit, what was the adjustment like for you going from coaching in college for so long to coaching in the NFL? Was there a learning curve or an adjustment for you, or not really?
Not really. Football is football, and what the adjustment was the intelligence factor of the players. Yeah. Those guys knew what they were doing, and where you had to spend your time was with the rookies. You know, get them up to speed where they could play with some veteran players. There are very few mistakes. They're very conscientious about knowing what to do and how to do it. And we spent a lot of time on fundamental stuff like tackling, footwork, stuff like that. We didn't do as much assignment football because they knew what they were doing, you know.
Yeah.
So most of our individual stuff was on tackling because we felt we would lose games if we didn't tackle well, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's what I see on TV today, that teams lose because they don't tackle well on defense, you know.
Yeah.
And teams win because they do, you know, they do tackle well. And that's the thing that separates. I see that in college football too, you know, that teams lose games because they don't tackle well.
Yeah.
And teams win games because they do. Alabama wins because they can tackle, you know, they can tackle on defense. And it just runs through football. You know, tackling is a basic rudiment, and if you can't tackle, you can't win.
Yeah, the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah, it's a part of it. It's one of the most critical parts of football.
Yeah. And then you had some great playmakers, some great players there on that Denver defense. I had the honor of interviewing Bill Romanowski, and Champ Bailey and John Lynch were two of your, you know, great defenders as well.
Yeah, they were. We had some great guys. Romo, he got a bad rap, but Romo was a great player and a great man. And he was a great student of the game, and he would make plays for you. Time after time after time, he would make plays. Champ Bailey, he would change games because he was phenomenal. It's hard to explain to people how talented he was, you know.
Yeah.
But he could change games in a minute. John Lynch kept you together. He was smart. He could play, and he would knock you like you couldn't believe.
Yeah, one of the hardest hitters ever. Yeah.
And he ran our defense for us.
Yeah.
And we had Al Wilson too, who was a pretty good football player. Boy, I mean, he was an all-pro player. He was a tough, fast linebacker, and he made it tough for him, you know. And we had fast, tough players at Denver. Speed was what we wanted, and pass rush ability. And the rest of it we were going to fight for, you know. But we were going to have fast guys who could rush and passer.
That's awesome.
That's what we had, and our secondary was just phenomenal, you know, with the combination of Bill, and then we had little Derek Williams.
Yeah.
Really good, but unfortunately he was killed in a drive-by, you know.
Yeah, he could have been a star.
That was a sad thing, and but he was a really good football player, and it was a sad situation that we lost him, you know.
Yeah.
But we were really fast, and we could rush the passer. The same was true with the Colts. We wanted fast guys who could rush the passer, and we wanted fast secondary players. And of course, we had Dwight and Robert, and fast guys who could rush the passer. And that made it easier on everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
But that's always been what I believed in, is the game of football today is about rushing the passer, you know.
Yep.
You got to be able to rush the passer, and you got to be good enough athletes to react to the run, you know. And if you can't rush your passer, you're going to have a tough day. So
absolutely, that's how.
Really, I've always emphasized, you know, pass rush, and I was blessed to have John Tierlake as our defensive line coach for a long time, and he's a master of the rush. God bless his soul, he's gone now, but he was some kind of coach, and he would get those suckers rushing that passer now. And he was really good for me and our staff for a long time.
Yeah, what was it like going up against Peyton Manning in practice and trying? You know, you get to see. I guess what I'm asking is, you see Peyton Manning. He was so smart and such a good quarterback, and so tough to beat, and always adjusting at the line of scrimmage. What do you think makes a quarterback? You know, if you're game planning to stop and control a quarterback, what's the toughest thing to game plan against for a quarterback?
Peyton Manning, had a unique ability. He could tell by the way a guy was leaning what was going to happen. Not the way he was moving, the way he was leaning. Yeah, he was phenomenal in his study about studying players, studying the whole deal.
Yeah.
And when he was under center, he wasn't near as tough to defend. He had to take the snap and take his drop. So we had a lot of luck against him when he was under center.
Yeah.
And when they moved him to the shotgun, he was a much tougher guy to defend because he could see everything. And so you had to conceal your looks, really conceal your looks. And you couldn't be too complicated because you'd fool yourself, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we would try to conceal and make him read after he got the ball in his hand. That's what we tried to do. And then don't give him anything cheap. Don't give him anything down the field if we could help it, and then try to keep it in front of us. We knew he was going to have 250 to 300 yards passing, but if we only had one touchdown, we felt like we won. We won that battle.
Yeah, make him dink and dunk down the field. No big plays. Yeah.
We couldn't give him because if he even smelled a deep throw, he would take it.
Yeah.
And we practiced against him every day, so it helped us to get ready for the guy up with the Patriots, who's very similar.
Yep, Tom Brady.
And it really helped us playing him, and we had great success of playing him. I think we played him 11 times and beat him 9.
Wow.
And it helped us to beat him because he wasn't quite as astute when he was in the shotgun reading after he took the snap.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was going to take it down.
Yeah.
And we knew that. So if we could tackle well, we were going to make it tough on him, to crush us, throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And they had game plans. I know that we got going against them. They had us down 35 to 14 or some 35-14, and we scored with 9 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we come back on them, and Belichick knew that he couldn't stop us. So he had the ball 4th down and 6 or 7 on his own 19, and he went for it.
I remember that. Yeah.
And we stopped him, and then Peyton hit a slant, and we beat him.
Yeah.
But Belichick knew he couldn't stop Peyton,
Yeah.
So his only chance was to try to go for it and keep the ball,
That was a crazy decision. I remember that. Yeah.
We were able to stop that play, and I'll never forget that when he was going 4th and 6. I couldn't believe it. And we ended up blitzing him, and Brady had to get rid of the ball quick, and we tackled it short of the 1st down and went ahead and won the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what those quarterbacks do to you. If they get a hot hand against your defense, you got problems.
Yeah.
Because in pro football, you have limited practice time, so your game plan can't be 12 pages long. It's limited. And what you can do against those kind of quarterbacks, because if you make a mistake, they're going to eat you up. So
yeah,
we tried to keep everything so we could do it, but do it without making mistakes. Brady's is a very good quarterback.
And
he's won all those Super Bowls. He's done all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a great player, but he's not Peyton Manning. That's just my opinion. Okay, he's not.
Yeah.
He's really a good player, but Peyton Manning was special.
Yeah.
And he's special because he can handle the game on the field.
Yeah.
And it's just the guy. I have all the respect in the world for Tom Brady. That Peyton Manning now.
Do
he's
you think Peyton could be a great coach if he wanted to? I feel like he could do anything and be great at it. But yeah.
Yeah. I tell you somebody else is special.
Mm-hmm.
That's going under another, but Troy Aikman was special.
Yeah.
He was a special guy, man. He's a big, tough sucker that I think he was sacked a record time in his rookie season with the Cowboys. So he had more sacks than anybody in the history of the game.
Wow.
But he kept on plugging,
Yeah.
And that's what sets them apart. Those guys, they're tough. They stay in there and they don't blame anybody. And
Yeah.
they keep sawing wood. And pretty soon, Troy Aikman won a whole bunch of Super Bowls. He done the job.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you still watch a lot of football and find yourself coaching? Watching the games and breaking
I
it.
watch all the games.
Yeah.
I miss coaching more than any other thing.
Wow.
I still stay with it. Nobody's going to hire a 78-year-old coach. I know that. I would love to coach.
Yeah.
I still have it in my blood. I still know the game.
Yeah.
And I watch every game I can possibly watch. And
that's awesome.
I try to stay with it. It hadn't changed any.
Yeah.
The game is the same. The good teams have quarterbacks and they can rush a passer.
Yeah.
That's two constants of the teams that are going to be top caliber. They're going to have a quarterback that can win, and they're going to rush a passer. And when you can do that, you can win big games. You can win, and you go way into the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to say, as a fan of the game, I very much respect and thank you for all you did for the game. All a football lifer, and coaching all those years and making the smartest football minds and just developing the game. You put a lot into it, and take some pride watching the game now, and think that you had a lot of part to do with where the game's at today.
Well, I appreciate that. I worked hard at it, and I had a great mentor in Mike Shanahan.
Okay, yeah.
Mike Shanahan is a tremendous coach.
Yeah.
Both offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
And he had great suggestions for defense, and he helped you along, and he did not hold you back. He wanted you to feel that you could go forward, but he did not want you to get out of hand as far as too many game plans, if you know what I mean. He wanted you to have things that your players could do, and he wanted your coaches to be able to explain it and coach it, and he wanted us to go out and execute it, and he wanted us to play hard. I mean, really play hard, not bullshit. You know what I'm talking about? We're gonna play hard.
Yeah.
And that's another element of winning.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you play hard, you can overcome mistakes.
Absolutely.
And, Shanahan is the best that I've been around as a professional head coach. And dealing with his players, he ran the organization that everybody pulled the same rope, and the Denver Broncos were going to be a unified front. Everybody was going to be working to do the same thing, and that's what made them good.
Yeah.
That everybody did the same, pull for the same rope, whether it be the equipment guys, the training staff, whoever it was. Everybody was pulling the same way.
Yeah.
And, when you have good organizations, that's what happens. Everybody's doing the same thing.
I said that's kind of how I feel about the 49ers right now with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I feel like it's a very well run. Yeah.
They got everybody pulling the same way.
Yep.
And they're going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time till they get that right mix.
Yeah.
Everybody's pulling the same rope, and they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, Coach. It's awesome to have you on. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, sir.
Yeah.
It's an honor, and being a part of the game of football is an honor.
Absolutely.
And, I hope you enjoy the season as much as I anticipated. So
yeah,
you take good care of yourself, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. Can't wait for the season. have fun watching it this year. And thanks so much. Have a good one.
You too, sir.
Appreciate all the support, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And have a great week, guys. Peace out.